Are you going to have digital property that's valuable that in certain communities you can use to get things and do things? That's the token.
This is the Inbound4Cast, a podcast series about inbound marketing and organic growth for B2B companies. Here's your host, Gerald Arcus.
Joe, welcome to the podcast.
Gerald, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's a big honor. You're the man who taught me content marketing.
Boy, now I'm worried about you. I was okay.
Yeah.
I'm like, this guy knows his stuff, but now it's a little iffy. But thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's almost 10 years ago, I think, when I started listening to This Old Marketing. And it was the first podcast that I ever listened to.
Oh, my gosh.
But I loved it.
Thank you.
And I still love it.
It's hard to believe it's been, we're almost at our 10th anniversary of This Old Marketing. And it's crazy that we've been able, although we did take a year break because I took 1 year off sabbatical in 2018. But other than that, we've been straight through talking mostly about content marketing.
Yeah, I'm happy the podcast is back. And of course, your book. So big honor for me. And today we are talking about Web 3.0 and content marketing, the future of content marketing, I think. But before we start, can you give a short introduction of who you are?
Yeah, Joe Pulizzi. I've been in the content marketing industry for, believe it or not, over 20 years now. I've written 6 content marketing books. Probably most popular one is Epic Content Marketing, which has a new version of that coming out in the beginning of 23. Content Inc. is for small businesses. And of course, you talked about the podcast, This Old Marketing, Content Inc. I've done speeches on content marketing in over 20 countries, probably 450 keynotes. I enjoy teaching the art of content marketing. I started Content Marketing Institute back in 2007. My wife and I sold it. I'm still a part of, still do speaking at Content Marketing World, which is the big event that we started. But my new venture is called The Tilt, where we focus on content creators. So instead of content marketers, we're focusing on independent professional content creators and how they can build a financially sustainable business.
All right. And is Web 3.0 a big part of that, or will it be in the future?
It's a part of it. So I really believe, of course, the whole idea of starting The Tilt was that we're trying to teach content creators, marketers as well, not to be reliant on social networks. That's a big problem that I have. I always talk about don't build your content on rented land, if you will. And I think Web3 is a solution to that, where you can have the token that can be owned by a community member. You can create scarce resources if you're the creator. NFTs, social tokens, lots of other things to come. We're at such early stages here, all of this thing. But I do believe in the future, there's something here. So we're trying to teach our community about it. We have our own social token called Tilt Coin. We have our own NFT project, part of our event, Creator Economy Expo. So we're dabbling in it. We're trying to teach. I feel we're a few years away, but now is a really good time, especially for B2B marketers, because as B2B tends to lag a little bit, I think there's an opportunity to learn now so that we're ready when it really takes off in the future.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, I started listening to a few of your interviews about this at the end of last year. So I thought I have to buy Ethereum, but I did it on the wrong moment. It's not very good right now.
We're definitely in the middle of crypto winter. There's no doubt about it. But I've been through this twice before. I started in late 16, early 17 with Ethereum and Bitcoin. And we've been through 2 big down cycles as that's happened. And, it's going to happen. It's so early. It's so volatile as we go, but it's good to learn about it. So people, people listening to this don't have to run out and buy ETH or anything. But I think it's really good time to get a digital wallet like MetaMask, find a creator community that's doing this, dabble around in it, because the technology behind it and the blockchain is really important, especially when you want to create amazing content experiences for some of your super fans. And it's a very good way to do it.
Indeed. Maybe we should start with a few definitions. So Web 3.0, social tokens, smart contracts. I think a few important terms maybe you can explain.
Yeah, Web 3.0 is such a large topic. And people cover it in AI and they cover it in the blockchain. And the whole idea to me is that the creator, the content creator in this case, can share the ownership of the content assets with the community. That's kind of the way that I look at it. The how is through tokenization. So you have these tokens on the blockchain. I don't want to get too technical with it, but right now there's two major types of tokens that we can build relationships with our audience. One is social tokens. That's called a fungible token, which means it's like Bitcoin, where if you and I traded Bitcoin, it doesn't matter. It's all the same. It has the same properties, the same value. It's all the same. What a creator can use a social token for, they sort of can create it as their own currency. You can, if let's say that you're part of my community and you have 10 tilt coin, you can get access to different parts of our Discord server so you can communicate with me or with a certain group that's in that level. You can get free merchandise. You can get training as part of how many tokens you have. You can get access to Creator Economy Expo if you have enough tilt coin. So it's membership on steroids, but it's really about limited experiences that you can create because of that. And we use it as a reward and loyalty system. And it works really, really well for that. So when somebody signs up for the Tilt newsletter, they get Tilt coin, and you want to get that in the hands of your community. So think about it as a way to reward your super fans. And then they actually have ownership over this token, and they can trade that, get rid of it, or use that as part of the currency. The second way.
And can I also buy it?
You can absolutely, you can buy it as well. We like to give it away. We like to have people do things to earn it. So, of course, we're talking about marketing here. Marketing behavior change is a big part of this. We know that people that own tilt coin in our community are our most valuable. They spend the most money. They come to our events, those types of things. So I like it for the rewards and loyalty system. There's a lot of people out there that say, hey, this can be part of a creator's financialization. They can use this as their business model, and they can. But that's not the way that I look at it. I don't think we're there yet to say, oh, I can create this big market cap, and I'm not there. There's too many unknowns with regulation. I don't even go there. We really use it as a loyalty system. So that's social tokens. The second part, which is the most popular one that everybody seems to talk about, are NFTs, non-fungible tokens. And that's where you have what's called a smart contract underlying every NFT. It makes it unique. So what I can do, and we have, by the way, our own NFT project, which is called Never Ending Tickets. A never ending ticket NFT. If you buy one, we limited to 100. And if you bought one with ETH, you could get access to our event. It's basically a lifetime membership, but each one is individual. They have their own individual properties, their own individual image. For example, you might mint an NFT on our minting site, and you might get free merchandise at the event as part of it. You might get access to a special event that only you and a couple other people can go to. We have one.
But when it's never ending, how are you going to earn money within 2 years from now? Because you get the money now, but they still want to go to the event.
Well, you get the money now up front. You're paying a premium up front. And that's how we're monetizing that aspect of it. So if you pay a little bit of premium, great. Now, the other thing is, let's say that you buy a never ending ticket, NFT. It's just yours. You're one of 100. And you say, I'm going to go get a job in construction now. I'm not in the marketing or the content industry anymore. I want to sell it. You can go to OpenSea, which is the marketplace that you can buy and sell NFTs. That's our secondary marketplace. And you can go ahead and sell that. And when you sell that, we set the parameters in the smart contract that when you sell it, we get 5% of that. So if there's a lot of turnover, and that's where a lot of NFT creators, musicians, artists, that's where they make a lot of their money. They might mint the NFTs for free or just for gas prices, but on the reselling of it, that's where they make all their money. Gary Vaynerchuk's project, VFriends, is a really good, they've had so much, millions and millions of dollars of turnover there, and that's really helped Gary build up that whole NFT project. So that's where a creator can make a lot of that money.
And the smart contract part is only for NFTs, not for social tokens.
That's correct. There's no, I'm not a tech person, but as far as I know, social tokens are completely different. There's an underlying smart contract that's set up depending on what kind of token it is, and that is specific to a non-fungible token. So those are like the two use cases right now. And I would imagine, Euro, if we're talking 3 years from now, there's going to be about 10 more. And we might not even be talking about NFTs as NFTs, because I think what's going to happen as the technology moves along, we're calling it this crazy term right now, non-fungible tokens. But everything, like when you go and buy a ticket to a football match, that could be an NFT. Where you buy, you want to go see the Dutch play, fantastic. You're going to buy this thing. It is an underlying technologies on the blockchain, and you could sell it to me peer to peer. You don't have any middle layer in that's taking a cut of that, and that could work out really, really well. So I see a lot of sports franchises being the first to move to NFTs. If you want, let's say you buy a car and you want to have insurance on that car, there's probably going to be an underlying NFT as proof of ownership, so that when you sell the car, you're also going to sell the NFT as sort of a certificate of authenticity. Those things are already happening. So it's sort of exciting that we're getting beyond here's this overpriced piece of art, digital art that you're going to pay for, into actual usable case studies. And that's where I think we're going.
Okay, and how is that related to content marketing? So how is it going to change content marketing?
So content marketing is about building amazing content experiences for your audience on a consistent basis in order to see behavior change, right? That's what content marketing is. Can you do that on a limited basis to some of your super fans using a token? Yes, that's where it comes in. So that's where I want people thinking about that. It's just a technology. It's not necessarily the content itself, but it can give a certain group of people access to premium content. So if I'm an author, I might say, how am I going to monetize this book? Or how do I want to get this book out there to my super fans? You might separate chapters of the book into different NFTs. You might have special editions of the book only available to some super fans. So where we used to do something on a Kickstarter or a membership program, you might sell it as an NFT. And the reason why you do that is because you give the audience member, the community member, ownership over the ability to sell that content experience to someone else, to double down and get more active in the community.
So to motivate them, but also to give them extra value besides the content.
I'm sorry, what was the second part besides the motivation?
Besides the content, an extra way to give them value.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So you're, as the creator, we're always looking to give value, and you want to give value to a particular audience. So let's say that you're thinking you're a content marketer and you're like, this is my audience. Who's a part of that audience are your super fans, are the ones that you're going to co-create content with, are the ones that are going to share your information. That connection of the token makes a difference. And I'll tell you firsthand, we have about 2,300 or so token holders of Tiltcoin. I can tell you that those are our super fans, and they share our content the most. They refer our newsletter the most. We have partnerships with 3 or 4 of those creators on co-creation programs that never would have happened if we didn't have that token connection. Now, could you do it some other way? You could, but I don't know if it would have happened without the token.
Yes, sometimes with startups, you see that the first employees have a smart percentage of shares in the company, and they never leave the company, and they work 10 times harder than the rest of the company because they feel that the company is part of them. And maybe it's a bit the same with this. Yeah. They feel like they are part of the company, the Tilt.
Feel like they have,
for example.
Yeah, exactly. Feel like they have a say in some, and they do, by the way, because if you own 20 Tiltcoin, you're a part of our VIP Discord group, and I share all the information about the Tilt business first with them, and they give me all the feedback, and I know all of them. I know everyone by first name. I've met most of these people. They're great, amazing people. They want to be involved. And what content marketer doesn't want that group just for research, just to figure out what the audience's pain points are and what's going through. So, and by the way, of course, we're just testing. It's just an experiment for us too. We don't know, but so far the experiment is succeeding in and of itself, just as a research project to figure out what kind of content we need to put on our blog, our newsletter, our podcast, our books, our event, whatever the case is.
But it also means automatically that you have to build a community, right? You can't have tokens without a community.
If you don't want to put in the extra work that this is going to be forever, like this is not a campaign. This is a marathon.
Nope.
Don't do a token project. So we started our token in February of 21, and I can tell you, you have to be at it every day, because the expectations of the audience of your community is that you're going to stay involved. They expect me, Joe Pulizzi, to stay involved in that group. And I have to go on the Discord and make sure I talk to them and email them out and get together with them at events. And I'm happy to do that, but I know that that was part of the deal. So if you're going to do this as, oh, let's do a 6-month token program. Oh, geez, don't even do it. Don't even waste your time, because it's going to be a failure.
Even more long-term than just content marketing.
Well, of course, you want a long-term philosophy for both of them. But yes, I think that because, and here's the thing. So let's break it down for a little. Let's say you're all that Joe Pulizzi sells the tilt, and the tilt is gone. The tilt coin is still there. I mean, I'm probably that tilt coin may or may not be sold with the company. It stays with me, because if you go onto the rally.io site, and that's the site that tilt coin's on, that's the minter of choice that we used, my name's still attached with it. It's still Joe Pulizzi. So this might be my thing. Like, I might have a token for 30 years and there's really nothing I can do about it. But not that I'm complaining. I think that's a huge opportunity to build a relationship. So that's why, if you are a brand, B2B brand, you have to really take this seriously. And that's why the companies that are doing this really well, Adidas, Nike, that are getting into it, Starbucks just announced last month that they're really getting into leveraging NFTs as part of their rewards program, not to replace their loyalty and rewards, but a secondary part for super fans. They know this is for the long haul. So you have to realize that.
Yeah, and in trying to understand this, I wrote a few sentences about how it's all related, and I'd like to hear your opinion on this. So let's say a community is a way, I think, to get an engaged audience for content marketing. I think a community is an extra channel to reach your audience with your content marketing series. It's an extra way to give value to your audience by letting them connect to each other and talk to each other, etc. And I think Web 3.0 is a way to get an active community, because you can give them something back and keep them motivated. I know a lot of communities that are not very active. People try to build a community, but when it's active, then it's, I think, maybe pretty easy. It seems pretty easy to keep it active, but before people start reacting and publishing and things like that, that part is very hard. And I think rewarding them for being active with tokens is a very good way to do it. So a community gives you a more engaged content marketing audience, and Web 3.0 gives you a more engaged community. So you need Web 3.0 to make your content marketing successful. Is that?
I think in a perfect world, what you said is 100% correct. So there's a couple of things that I would caution about, especially if you're a B2B company marketer listening to this.
Yeah, because that's a lot of the examples are B2C, of course, what you see.
So ours is a good B2B example. I mean, we're targeting small businesses. We're doing it on a small scale, an experimental scale. Here's the thing that's really important, the things that I've learned. Don't launch a token project unless you first have an audience of some kind. It's very hard.
Yeah, that was one of my questions. Yeah. So you have the audience from Content Marketing Institute, from your podcast, etc. I don't have it. This podcast is a few months old, so I still have to build my audience. So this might not be the best moment for me to start.
Some people will disagree with me, Earl, on that. They say you can start and build an audience with an NFT project. It has happened before. It's very rare to do that. It's much easier to start with and get a minimum viable audience. By the way, you have to decide what you believe your minimum viable audience is. Mine, in my opinion, was 10,000 email subscribers. We wanted to get to about 10,000. And you're right. I have an audience from my past that I brought together when we launched the Tilt. We were already there. So it was easy enough to do that.
But 10,000 in the community, or 10,000 that you had before you started, and that can be, let's say, 20% of them will be part of the token community.
When we started the whole token, we were working on our email database. So when we launched, we were close to 10,000. That was the goal. Yeah. And we were just about there. Now we're at 17 or 18,000 or something like that. So I think that email connection is important. Of course, you know me, I'm all about, first party data, having that opt-in connection, especially with what happened in social media. We want to make sure we have that. A B2B company can just make a decision to have an audience. You don't have to have a community. To your point, the community is another step. It's way more difficult to have. Now, the benefits are tremendous, but you can't force the community. That's where when the token comes in, you're like, okay, we have this audience. We're going to try to create a deeper connection. The token can help us get to the point where we could build a community, and that's what we're trying to do. And I think we've done a pretty good job at the Tilt of making that happen. So the token was the start of that. But you might say, okay, first of all, do we have the minimum audience? Whatever that is. Could be 1,000 subscribers, could be 2,000 podcast downloads, whatever you believe it is, you have an audience there. Then you're going to insert a token of some kind. Could be an NFT project, could be a social token, fine. Then you have to create, well, hopefully along with this, what are the terms? What do people get for this thing? What's the value that you're going to create for the 5%, 10%, 20%. Ours seem to be about 10%, 10 to 20% of our audience actually go through the process of getting the token and start referring people to it. What are you going to give them? Why should they care? What's the added value? That's a separate content experience. Like, for example, at Creator Economy Expo last year, people that had the NFT, we had a separate event just for them. And that was part of the value that they got from the investment that they made into the NFT. So we want to deliver that value back, and we will keep doing that for every event as we've done that. So and there's a lot of work associated with that. So then community and the token works hand in hand as you go. You could have a community without a token. I just feel that today, because of this technology, it's strange, Yarol. It's that connection is so powerful. I even underestimated it. Because when we were experimenting, I'm like, let's give it a try. I mean, I really believe in this working off of social networks. I love the connection aspect. I love the ownership aspect for the community. I love creating limited content assets. But let's test it out. It ended up so far, I mean, it's been almost a year and a half now. And it's seemingly working. But again, every day you've got to work at it.
But for me, it feels like you have chosen rented land for the community. Discord.
Absolutely have. The token is the connection. That's the ownership connection. Where we have that conversation, we have that conversation on LinkedIn. We have it on Facebook. We have it on Discord. Discord is the community. If in a perfect world, if you're saying if we want to keep that off of social networks, if you will, the communities that we have no control over, then we would want to purchase like a Circle or a Mighty Networks or something like that and own that community, and we can port that information out, almost like email, right? Like if I work with MailChimp or ConvertKit or ActiveCampaign or HubSpot or whatever the case is, and they do something crazy, I can still port that email database off and create and use it in another technology.
Yeah, maybe that's the difference. You also have the email addresses and only the conversation you have on Discord. And some communities, of course, let's say when you have a Facebook community or a LinkedIn community, you don't have the email addresses, and it's totally rented land.
Yeah, and you're gonna honestly, I don't have a problem with using rented land if we have that connection. I'll tell you, the most important connection we have is email. No doubt about it. That opt-in email is critical, and of course, you can look at every social media network. What do they use as the primary key for every database that they have? They use their email address. So we want to do that too. We want to have the first party data. And then do we use other, Web 2 platforms? Absolutely. Twitter and LinkedIn are my two best platforms that I use to share the message of content creation, creator economy, content marketing, whatever the case is. That's where people are. But I have the strategy, and we have the strategy that tomorrow I could wake up and it could be gone. And if it is gone, we're going to be okay. Like we still have that.
To be honest, maybe this is a bit of a sidestep from the topic of this episode, but I'm thinking about this a lot lately, the last years, but recently even more, because I think it's getting harder and harder to don't build on rented land. Google is keeping people on that platform. LinkedIn is doing the same. New social media platforms are doing the same. I'm working in B2B, and in B2B you have this movement of demand generation,
Yep.
of publishing the content on LinkedIn without a link to the website, telling your story there, telling it in communities and everywhere where your audience is. And I'm not sure anymore what I think about that.
So
maybe we can do both. I think we
I
should
think
do
we
both.
can.
But
I think we can. So let's use your example. It's a really good B2B example. LinkedIn. I have no problem publishing on LinkedIn. I publish on LinkedIn. There's a lot of business companies that publish consistently on LinkedIn, and it works. The problem is you don't control the algorithm. You don't control the data. You're adding value for LinkedIn. That's fine. We choose to do that. It's a free service. All good. And you're able to reach an audience on LinkedIn. That's fantastic. Use that. Choose that as one of the primary platforms that you're going to use. But at the end of the day, if you don't control distribution, you control nothing. You have no control.
Yeah.
So what is the conversion? So let's talk about demand generation. Some conversion down the road has to be, you're going to build this audience on LinkedIn by delivering a wonderful content experience every day, every week, whatever the case is. And as it goes and as it works, you're going to move that over to your super fans, your really amazing prospects that you want to be customers, into some email product. And that's where most business-to-business organization emails are terrible. Let's be honest. They are horrible.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's the most important thing we have. And if we focus so if you're a B2B company and you focus only on LinkedIn, if LinkedIn changes their rules tomorrow and they say, sorry, you got to pay for it, or we don't want to give you access, I'll give you a really good example. In 2014, Google+. I worked with a number of companies that spent millions of dollars creating amazing photography communities on Google+, and they got the email, whatever day it was, February of 14, and said, sorry, we're closing the entire platform. And they spent millions on this. I want everyone to keep that in mind, because that will absolutely happen again. It's happening on TikTok. It's happening on Instagram. They're turning into content discovery. They don't care about the creators as much as you think they do. They just want to drive more revenue and drive more profits for their investors. That's fine. They can do that. But we can do something about it, so we have to have a secondary plan.
Yeah, I agree with all the arguments. But then I look at, for example, Refine Labs, and they don't have my email address, but they are very successful. You have my email address. And you are also very successful. I think they have more risk maybe, but when LinkedIn is gone tomorrow, I think they are also investing with podcasts on Spotify, and they are trying TikTok out right now. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, so really good point. This is a great conversation. There's a subscriber hierarchy, right? I talk about this in Content Inc. for a long time. At the bottom of the subscriber hierarchy, you have Facebook fans, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn. They're all good. They're very, very good. We want those things, but we want to continually move up the hierarchy into right in the middle is podcasting. We have a little more control over that, little bit. And I think it's going to get better. I love what Spotify's doing as they're coming in, and they're sort of coming up against Google and Apple. And I think you're going to see more data being given to the creators. And then you go into print subscribers, email subscribers, owned membership. To your point, we already talked about that. Tokens. So we're going up there. So you could have these amazingly huge communities that built on rented land. Nothing wrong with that. That's fantastic. But you're going to want to keep moving up the subscriber hierarchy to at least protect your model, so that tomorrow you're out of luck. So here's a really good example with Twitch. So Twitch, streaming platform, Amazon owns it. Biggest streaming platform there is from a 24/7 streaming. They had a whole big thing with gambling sites, and they just came out. There was a bunch of controversy, and Twitch just came out and said, no more online. If you're talking about online gambling, you're done. Well, you have about 1 million creators that are doing online gambling on Twitch that are out of business right now. Now, a B2B marketer might not think about that, but that's a really good example of today I'm in business and tomorrow I'm not, because I can't do anything
and I think we are seeing that
anymore.
on all platforms.
Yeah.
So, I agree with you. Yeah. Interesting discussion.
We can talk about this all day.
Little bit.
I love the opportunities we have as a social media is incredible. But again, we got to realize it's not about social media anymore. It's content discovery. TikTok has shown us that, which may be the if you're going to have a challenge to search engines and Google's dominance, it might be TikTok. I think
indeed.
they're going that direction, and they're really teaching all these other platforms, and Instagram and Facebook are already moving that direction away from social media into content discovery, and that changes the rules for everybody.
Agree. That's indeed. So I want to ask a lot of questions, but let's keep it to Web 3.0. Let's see, where were we? One other trend that I'm seeing is, well, I'm not sure if it's a trend, but a decentralized autonomous organization.
Sure.
Is that the holy grail of rewarding people who will be a part of your community and making them a co-owner of the company?
No, it's not. It's just one model. It's just one business model. I think for when DAOs came out, people said, "Oh, this is the way to run a community." It is very difficult, Yarrow, to run a community and get everybody going. And basically, to your point, the community owns this thing. It's like the Green Bay Packers in the United States. It's owned by the fans itself. But is it really? No, you still have an owner that has the ownership that's calling the shots. With a DAO, not so.
Yeah.
So I like the model of there being a leader or a leadership structure, just like in most organizations. And then you have a very, very supportive customer base that feels like they have ownership and do have a little bit of ownership. I think that's the better model with the other token projects we talked about. Can a DAO absolutely work? Sure, it can. But we haven't seen many successful DAOs at this point. It's so early in the process. They've only been around for a couple of years. We don't know. But I don't know if in a couple of years we're going to be talking about that as a model that works, because you have to have a community that's all on the same page with getting things done. And there's not many communities that do that.
I think it's complex when you have a few owners of a company and then you have a whole community who has something to say about the direction. I thought about it when I launched this podcast. Should I be a DAO? But I don't have the community, and I don't like the idea that the community can have different ideas of the direction, and then within a year, maybe it's not my podcast or platform anymore.
That's exactly. And it's funny. I thought about the same thing when Brian Clark and I got together to launch Creator Economy Expo, which now happens every May. We talked about the idea of maybe we create it into someday being a DAO. And everything was, DAOs were all the talk at the time when we were getting through this. And I'm so glad we did not do this. To your point,
yep.
I have a vision for what CEX should be. I have a vision for what the tilt should be. If I wasn't that strong about that, you have to have somebody with a vision. Now, can the community come up with that vision and mission? Absolutely. Takes a long time to go through that process to really make it work. Even when you saw the DAO come together, what was it, Constitution DAO, that they went and tried to buy the Declaration of Independence, still it was one of the copies of that. They still could not get that done because you didn't have that one person set out there who's the visionary, and the community, are they going to necessarily pick the right leader? I don't know. So maybe, but I'm not going to put my money on that model. It's going to be called something else. I like the hybrid model better. Give the community a chance to be part and do certain things and help you grow your content business, if it will. Get them involved in content projects. Give them special access and experiences. But I think somebody needs to be running the ship and set the vision.
Yeah. And when we look at the metaverse, do you think that will be a big part of content marketing combined with Web 3.0, or is it a total different experience in the Web 3.0 world, but not related to what we are talking about?
So I have mixed feelings on the metaverse. First of all, the metaverse, which is coined by Neil Stephenson, great book. That is a different thing than Mark Zuckerberg's idea of the metaverse. And I honestly don't know what Mark Zuckerberg's idea of the metaverse is. It seems like it's, we're going to take our digital selves and be there. That's not it. Look at the metaverse right now. The best examples of it are Minecraft, Roblox. they're already happening. These communities where you are active, you're sort of living as whatever in those communities, not necessarily you or a digital representation of you. There's commerce going on in these communities. I don't think it's a vision of, oh, Mark is now a digital Mark Zuckerberg, and we're going to plop him in a Horizon studio somewhere online, and we can all get together for a virtual camp out.
Drink.
Yeah. I don't, that doesn't make any, when I see pictures of, oh, we're in the metaverse and it's all people's, I said, that's not the metaverse. That's something else. I think if you want to figure out as a B2B company what the metaverse is, go talk to your kids who are on Minecraft and Roblox. That's already happening. So we're not going to force this new term of what metaverse is. I don't, honestly, Errol, I don't even know what it's going to become. I just know that so let's talk about like digital property. That's probably where it really comes in. Are you going to have digital property that's valuable that in certain communities you can use to get things and do things? That's the token. If you're going to call it a metaverse, that's fine. But I mean, this stuff is already happening, but we haven't seen anything yet. Metaverse, I feel bad for everyone that loved that word, that Mark Zuckerberg came in and co-opted it and changed the name of the company and did the whole thing, because now nobody wants to use it. Nobody wants to use that term anymore.
I think only the people who bought an ape of maybe $1 million.
Well, that's interesting community. I mean, and then you have to, if you're looking at the Bored Ape community, which I think there's a lot of value in having a Bored Ape. I don't know if it's that much, but there's a great community there. You have access to parties. You can use that to launch whatever products you want to launch based on the IP of your ape. That's great. Is that metaverse? I don't know. I don't know if that's the definition of the metaverse. It just sounds like,
I don't think so, to be honest. I think
it sounds like an exclusive membership.
Yeah.
Which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
So for people who are listening to this podcast and think they want to start, they want to do something in this space, they have a B2B company, step one is audience, right?
Well, let's take it a step back. So let's say somebody's listening to this and they're completely confused and they're like, "What the heck is this?" This is a thing where it's like the Matrix, right? Are you in the Matrix or you're not? You can't really describe what this is. So get a digital wallet first of all. Let's start to figure these. So get a digital wallet. MetaMask is free. You have I have a digital wallet. What do I do with that? Well, go follow a couple of creators that are using NFTs or social tokens. Like, you can come to the Tilt and figure out how we're doing it. It's all good. And just get active in those communities. At some point, you can fund your digital wallet with some Ethereum. Great. You get that in there. And then maybe you can buy a cheap NFT so you can figure out the process and be part of somebody's community. That's 6 months right there, Yarrow. Just to figure out because when somebody first started to describe to me what an NFT was, and I was like, what? I don't even know. Like, you have to actually go through the process, do the digital wallet thing.
It took me a few months, and then I had the Ethereum and the wallet and everything, and I wanted to buy an NFT, and then I think it went from $3,000 to, let's say I lost almost $2,000.
Yeah.
So now I'm waiting before it, when it's up again, then I want to try it out and see how it all works.
But I guess to your point, that with that, now is a really good time for people listening to this to get involved, because we're crypto winter. Everything's down, so you're not. And again, you don't have to spend a lot of money. All I'm just saying is we want to experiment, test, get involved for the next run of this, which is we're really going to see some amazing use cases outside of the Bored Apes or the CryptoPunks and all that. We're going to really see some amazing businesses come in and do something. So I would start there. Then we get to your point about let's just build an audience first, pick a platform where you can deliver consistent content. What's your content niche? What we call a content tilt. What is your differentiation to break through all that clutter? Those are the core areas of content marketing you should start with first. And then you've got down the line, you've got this idea of the token.
All right.
Not to be negative about it. I want people to do this, but you it's a different animal altogether. So you got to be ready.
And then do you think Discord will also be for B2B companies? Of course, your company is B2B as well, but is it the right platform? Because I think Discord is used by a lot of crypto people. I think also maybe gamers and Generation C. How much B2B people can you move to the platform?
Honestly, I mean, I'm happy that our community's on Discord. We picked it specifically because we thought that we were making the right decision with where we were going with Web3. We could have done something on a proprietary platform just as easily. Maybe that would have been a better decision. So if you're looking at a community, Discord doesn't have to be the thing. By the way, your community could be a LinkedIn group. It could be, let's be honest, it could be anywhere. It doesn't necessarily. Now, I like Discord because we can integrate our token into that, and I can send like tips in Tiltcoin to people. I can reward people for behavior. We can set our group levels really easily. There's a lot of off-the-shelf software that you could buy for memberships that aren't integrated with crypto. So that's why we chose it. The other communities will get there. I know I've talked with a lot of them. They're going that direction. That's great. So when you make your decision on a community, you can look at Mighty Networks. You can look at Circle. You can look at Discord. Discord's free. We're not paying for it. Mighty Networks and Circle, you're going to have to pay. There's a lot of other ones. Some people might use Telegram, whatever.
Yep.
A lot of different ways to do it.
All right. And the Tilt, for people who want resources, information, can they use the Tilt for it?
Oh, absolutely. So if you subscribe to the Tilt, you will get put into the process where if you want to, you can get Tilt coin. You can join the groups. If you refer, you can get more Tilt coin. So you can see how we use it. You could buy, you get free merchandise if you go that direction. So yeah, and then on the site, we have a lot of education on Web3. We've got a whole beginner's course. It's completely free. So if you want to figure out how to get this thing going, we sort of, I don't want to say dumb it down, but it's a very beginner's level version of this is how you start thinking about it. Here's the technology. And that's where we're at with the Tilt. The Tilt, we're all about helping content creators become financially independent. Part of that, a very small part right now, is understanding Web3. So we're teaching about it. I would say every 3 newsletters we send out have something Web3 related. And as more creators get better case studies and using it, we're going to start promoting those more than just the ones we do on newsletters and podcasts and YouTube and TikTok and whatever.
All right. Joe, thanks a lot.
Thanks, Gerald. I appreciate it. Yeah, that was fun.
Being a guest in my podcast. Yeah, indeed. Interesting stuff. Looking forward to see what will happen in the next few years.
It's going to move fast.
So,
It should. Maybe not as much as in B2B. So, which is maybe the opportunity for people listening to this.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, because I think you said in the podcast, in multiple podcasts, that it's about 98, 99, 97 when you compare it to Web 1.
Yeah, I would say that it's funny. I was talking to somebody the other day, and there's an example in the United States on the Today Show and Brian Gumbel and Katie Couric talking about what is this internet thing? And that was like in 96, 97. Like, what do we use it for? Or whatever. We're probably 2 years past that, to your point. We're just getting started before the big run up. We don't even know what this is before the Amazons, before the eBays. So this is a really good time if you're a marketing practitioner to practice and experiment.
And to be honest, that was for me the reason to start looking into this, because I always have the feeling that I missed the boat back then, that there were so much opportunities, and I think we have the same opportunities right now when you start looking into this.
That's a great way to look at it, because I did too. I really missed that first run, and what an amazing, exciting time as looking back on that would have been. Well, here you are. And it looks terrible, right? Because all the crypto prices are down. But again, it's not about the prices, right? Don't think about that. The token is a different thing than cryptocurrency as a whole. So we got to treat it differently.
Yeah, and I think when you want to buy, doing it on a low is better than on a high, right?
Absolutely. Everybody jumps in at you and I both, right? We probably bought it at a little higher level. That's okay. If you're in it for the long term, like I'm a big Bitcoin believer. I believe in decentralized finance, those things. We have a long, long way to go. If your outlook is 5, 7, 10 years, then I think
in 2013 I bought for I think €150 of Bitcoin, And then one Bitcoin, I think, was $1,000, euros, something like that. And then it dropped to 150 euros, so one Bitcoin. And everybody laughed and made jokes about my Bitcoin.
Yep.
But I kept it. And then a few years later,
who's laughing now?
I was the one who was laughing. And I was angry at myself for not buying more.
Yeah, I mean,
but yeah.
And by the way, yeah, this is not an investing show, obviously, so we're not
No,
we're not
and,
financial recommendations.
I'm not an expert on this,
and I'm not either. But I mean, I would say if you're looking at your overall portfolio of stocks and bonds and everything else that you have, a little bit in cryptocurrency is a really good way to diversify, along with energy companies and gold and silver and whatever else you have. So from that standpoint, you're just diversifying. It's not a bad thing.
Indeed.
Yeah.
So thanks again. And nice to talk to you.
Absolutely. Nice. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to the Inbound4Cast. And don't forget to subscribe on YouTube or in your favorite podcast app.